there's going to be inflation, because in the general market itself, rates are climbing, and so that's reflected in the bond prices. And so the only thing, in anything absence of inflation, bonds have been in a 24-year bull market, and that's a long time. And I think that bond market rally of such long duration is over. And I think the interest rates are going to start climbing, not precipitously at the beginning. They'll work their way up slowly as more and more problems become evident, and that evidence is starting to peak up. Inflation in the U.S. is officially, there's two different figures that they use, between 2.5% and 3%. Real inflation is 8%. Food and gasoline, petroleum products, things that you will use every day, the inflation is about 10%. And it varies from country to country. But as far as the United States is concerned, the bond market really hasn't reflected that. No, rates did go from 320 up to around 380. They dropped to 368 yesterday in the U.S. 10-year note. And the federal government continues to go into that market and buy and sell along with the Fed, trying to keep rates down. But in the long run, they're going to go up. But inflation and the degeneration of dollars, the depreciation of the dollar, will drive the yield up, and that's the major force that make bonds themselves go down. And I think that over the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to see higher rates. What are we talking about? Anywhere between 5 and 8%, which is very doable. If we have hyperinflation, you could see 20%, but we won't count that in until we see it. And that's why investments in bonds at this point in time I don't think is a very good thing, especially municipals, and especially junk bonds, stuff that's rated BBB. And so I'm not a fan of bonds in here. The stock market's overpriced. It's ridiculous. So I'm not a fan of general market stocks. I am a fan or a semi-fan of commodities. But the real market to make money in is the gold and silver related asset market. And that's what people should be.
This question comes in from a gentleman whose wife is a realtor in Fort Lauderdale for a luxury real estate company. They work with residential properties of $1 million or more in South Florida. How will the changes in the dollar decline or affect residential property sales of $3 million plus in this market moving forward? And could she locate wealthy clients in other countries looking to get rid of their dollars?
Restate that question again. It kind of tore me one way and then the other. Say that again.
His wife works as a realtor for a luxury real estate company.
$1 million homes.
$1 million plus. And how will the changes in the dollar decline affect residential property sales, $3 million plus?
All right, stop right there, and then we'll deal with the rest of the question. As interest rates climb, it'll be more difficult to sell any dwelling in the United States because people use mortgage loans. And if interest rates are climbing, it costs more to carry. I mean, a house for $1 million that your payment might have been in a 30-year fix, maybe $5,000 a month. And that's hypothetical. With a move in interest rates, the jumbos are around they're around I'll say 5.25. They move back up over to 8%. You're not going to be selling much of anything. And of course, the high-end homes in value would then come down further. So it's a very bad situation. I think all people, if they can and they want to, should get out of all real estate, because I think it's got a ways to go. Not that it's going to be crushing, and they might get down another 20% depending upon where you are. The real problem is that they're not going to recover for a long, long time. I mean, it's very indelibly printed upon people's minds now, as opposed to before, that houses are a place to live. They're not supposed to be part of a casino, or you're not supposed to buy houses and flip them. And those are people who are still doing it. They're going to get burned again. And so I think that the future for those homes is going to be as difficult as it is for lower price homes. So it's not going to be good. Now, what was the rest of the question?
Should she locate wealthy clients in other countries looking to get rid of dollars?
Yeah, that would be a good idea. A very good idea. And, you know, that phenomenon is happening in British Columbia, has been for years, going back into the late, mid-1980. They invited the Chinese to come in and buy property. And they've been doing it ever since, and the average home now in Vancouver is $1 million. And some of them are, to my way of thinking, they're worth $150,000. And so she might contact possible Chinese buyers, whether they're from Hong Kong or Taiwan or mainland China. There's a lot of multi-billionaires there. And also, she might also contact people in Europe, who want to get rid of dollars. Or anybody outside the country who might want to get rid of dollars by buying a piece of property in my area, Miami area, or Lauderdale. And so, yeah, that would be a good idea to try to get overseas buyers. I know right now throughout the world there are not many U.S. buyers of anything in real estate, anywhere. No, you do see others buying, but they're buying in countries where people can't pay cash. I mean, 25% down on $1 million house is $250,000. And that's not too hard for a lot of people to get into. But the same house, if it was in Stuttgart or outside of Mexico City, well, first of all, it wouldn't cost nearly as much. And second of all, everybody in those countries virtually puts 50% or more down in their homes. And I don't know what the percentage is, but lots of them pay cash, especially in Latin America.
My cousin, who has those condos, there's $1 million condos down there in Ocean City. They started selling them right at the beginning, by the time they were built and everything, and he tried to do that. But they weathered the storm a little bit, and they've pretty much unloaded the large part of them. But I don't think he really worked. I can't remember if he contacted the embassies to try to get a leg on how to, begin to market those condos overseas. But it was when the dollar was dropping pretty good, and the whole real estate market was crashing. And so he did try it. But again, as I said, I think it's a great idea. To market those areas.
That's that's a point we hadn't talked about, and that is if the dollar returns to 74 in the USDX, it's around